New at 6 tonight, it is part 2 of our I-Team's report into police misconduct in New York State. And tonight, you're about to see video that Jamestown police did not want you to see. 7 News I-Team was initially denied access to this video. They, in fact, had to appeal that decision and pay hundreds of dollars to show you police misconduct and what happens when police think no one is looking. Well, their actions cost 2 officers their jobs for good. The I-Team's Ed Dranch and producer Sean Mickey discovered these officers are among thousands of others statewide who have lost their jobs because of misconduct.
Poor child.
It's the end of January 2019 in Jamestown, the wind whipping through the cold winter streets. Officer Emma Ward arrests Michael Patterson, charging him with endangering the welfare of a child. Inside, a baby who police records explain was sitting with a dirty diaper for days, wrapped in a blanket cradled by social services.
I need to be there with my family.
All of this hours after that 17-year-old, who you just heard from, called police speaking to officers Tyler Stimson and Andrew Grover inside that same home. They were responding to a welfare check, listening to that teenager describe a nightmare after her mother, who she says abuses drugs, seemingly disappeared days earlier.
I don't know where she's at. I've been here helping take care of the baby.
Leaving nothing for the children to eat or diapers and wipes for the babies.
She needs really help, lots of it. I don't want to see my brothers and my little sister go through this. I really don't. And I don't care if people think I'm doing the wrong thing, but if you want to be technical, I'm doing the right thing.
She did the right thing, calling police.
You saved them.
But officers Stimson and Grover did not, leaving the home with the children behind and making no arrests. The I-Team has obtained the police report Stimson filed that said the children are in good health and spirits, contradicting everything recorded on the body camera video. They were not okay.
They have no diapers, no food.
And you hear that from Officer Ward, who responded for the second time later in that same day.
Someone from our agency, I read their whole what they wrote up. So I'm thinking I'm just coming here just to kind of like appease whoever the caller.
Exactly. Then you walk into this.
These contradictory entries, as police call them, could have had real consequences. Police explain Stimson and Grover were derelict in their duties as officers. Stimson, in his own words, quote, "This is a major oversight and lack of good judgment." Stimson was fired. Grover resigned as a result. Both lost their license to be police officers anywhere in New York State, known as decertification. They are just 2 of more than 1,000 statewide who've lost their license from the State Department of Criminal Justice Services since that decertification process started in 2016. But there are questions about just how many others should be on that list, especially within the Erie County Sheriff's Office, where we've learned at least 4 deputies never lost their certification as of late August, despite misconduct. John Gugino, Jason Stakowski, Michael Blaychek, and Robert D. Sheriff John Garcia, who took office this past January, would not grant us an interview, instead issuing this statement explaining, quote, "A review of the registry has been and remains underway." That was August 26th. It just so happens that same day, the day we started asking questions, the sheriff's office submitted paperwork to the state to decertify Gugino for pleading guilty to possession of cocaine in July 2022. Then on August 30th, 4 days later, the sheriff's office did the same to decertify Stakowski for pleading guilty to promoting prison contraband, giving an inmate a cell phone in April 2022.
If there's any questions that you have for me, I'll be happy to answer.
And because the sheriff wouldn't meet with us, our I-Team producer Sean Mickey found him at this unrelated news conference following up about the process.
Sheriff, can you promise that your department will follow through with New York State's decertification regulations?
So the Office of Sheriff, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have in fact done so. Our Professional Standards Division has decertified those that were fired by the Office of Sheriff here in Erie County, or that resigned under allegations, And so far, they've gone back to 2016.
The sheriff's office says Deputy Blachek was decertified with the state in 2019, but the state says he was actually just reported for decertification on August 30th, 2.5 years after he should have lost his license. And again, after the I-team started asking questions. What should the state be doing here?
The state should consider amending the process so that there's less of an ability for police to essentially police themselves.
Miles Gresham is an attorney and policy fellow for the Partnership for Public Good. In October 2021, he wrote a policy brief about how municipalities punish police, explaining, quote, no matter how grievous their misconduct, police officers can evade discipline and keep their jobs in a disturbing number of cases. He also writes, quote, some local governments have been misapplying police discipline for decades.
It's been shown that when police police themselves, bad police get away with very bad things, and again, it erodes confidence in our police, and that's dangerous. I want the public to have confidence in our police.
In total, the I-team has found 71 officers who worked for departments across Western New York have been decertified since 2016, again when the law went into effect, mandating police departments inform the state of an officer's separation of service from the department. Nearly 1,600 police and peace officers were reported to the state as removal for cause as of June 2022. But again, this is all based on self-reporting. Should individual departments be able to self-report still, or should the state come in and say this officer has lost their certification?
I think the state should be allowed to do that. I think, again, if you're a nurse and you commit some kind of horrible misconduct, you lose your ability to practice. A journalist, a lawyer. Why shouldn't it be the same for police?
Take, for instance, the case of former Erie County Sheriff's Deputy Kenneth Achtel, convicted of assaulting a Bills fan while on duty outside Highmark Stadium in 2017. His official state record shows he still maintains his license despite his conviction and separation from the sheriff's office, meaning he could be back on the streets with a different department. The state did ask for more information from the sheriff's office, saying they have, quote, reason to believe that the circumstances surrounding his resignation may fall within our decertification regulations. Nothing to see here, said the sheriff's office. They denied any issue with how Achtel's separation was reported to the state. All of this, of course, before Sheriff John Garcia took office, but he insists they've gone back years to decertify deputies.
And we've gone back to 2016, which is, by the way, the year the law was created.
Last year, that law was beefed up, and the state can now ask for documentation if it believes the separation was reported incorrectly. The new regulations, however, are not retroactive.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
At least for now, Achtel is able to keep his license, unlike what happened in Jamestown.
So he hasn't eaten in 3 days?
Where police say, quote, if no further intervention by law enforcement or CPS had taken place, it is questionable when or if the child would have gotten food. The children were put in the care of a different family member.
Yes, I already know.
And the mother, who disappeared, returned, later arrested, and was also charged with endangering the welfare of a child. I-team documents show Robert D. was only decertified last month, on September 8th, again, only after we started asking questions. You can see for yourself who's been decertified in our database, available for you right now on WKBW.com. For the I-team, I'm Age Ranch, 7 News.
Once again, that entire database, along with the I-team's full investigation, on our website for you tonight. There you'll also find our team's report into state trooper misconduct here in Western New York. Just head to WKBW.com.